Today I wanted to walk you through how to build an aesthetic and clean looking privacy fence for your property. When I first bought this duplex property, as you can see by the photo, there was absolutely nothing but gravel in this yard. So I got really excited thinking about how I could make it a lot more attractive, give it some curb appeal, and provide function and some privacy along with that. Given the size of this yard, there are a lot of different ways I could take a fence building project. But in this case, I decided to just go straight across the middle and create a little bit of a yard for both of the houses. When I get started on a project, I always want to surf the internet and see if I can find some inspiration. So here are a few photos that inspired me to build the fence that I now have today. I just really wanted something clean and elegant looking. Fences do a great job of improving property value as well, giving it that curb appeal, creating depth, and also serving a security function as well. So let's get started. Part of my master vision for this property was to have a 1,000 square foot grass yard out front. Living in Arizona, I come to find out that's not as easy and it's really not worth the water bill. However, with this vision in mind, I still wanted to get the yard prepped, and that included moving a ton of gravel. Given that the yard is about 50 feet across, I just measured 20 feet up, and that gave me approximately 1,000 square feet of yard, which provided a really nice space for dogs to play or people to relax in. And it also gave some security so people from the street couldn't just walk up. There was a physical barrier between them and the houses. So if you're building anything, it's often a good idea to have a sketch done on paper. I wanted to go with a really modern look and also again have that functionality. So I made it about 36 or 40 inches tall, and I wanted to alternate 1x6s and 1x3s because that would give it a really cool, crisp look. I want to say all in all, this project cost me about $600, obviously most of that in lumber. But you're going to buy things like concrete and polyurethane on the back end to protect it from the weather. I had about 10 4x4 posts here and then a ton of 1x6s and 1x3s to complete the project. Before you start digging random post holes all over your property, make sure that you have a plan in place for where the fence is going to be, how many post holes you need, and have accurate measurements. In this case, the property was built on concrete slabs, and that ran straight across the property, so that made measuring 20 feet out from that for the fence very easy. In this case, we used string to make sure that those measurements were even across the property so that the fence posts on the far left and on the far right are going to be exactly the same so that the fence comes out even and not crooked. From there, you can start digging post holes, but you also want to have an understanding of how long the pieces of wood that you're using are, the horizontal pieces as well as the vertical posts. One thing that you don't see in this photo is the concept of using a string for leveling purposes so that all of your posts, the vertical 4x4s, are identical across the property. Because while with the naked eye, it may look like your property is completely flat, you may have some hills or some divots, little depressions that you need to even out. And if you put all of the post holes in at exactly the same height, they may or may not come out identical. So here's that leveling string concept in action. You can see that the tops of every 4x4 post are exactly the same height from the ground to the top of the post, regardless of where they are on the property. Now, when it comes to the concrete, a good rule of thumb is about half a bag of concrete per post. So we had about 8 posts and needed about 4 bags there. Really, that's one of the easier parts of the build. You really just want to make sure that, of course, everything comes out level. Use multiple levels on each side, and and then pack it in with dirt when you're done. It's always a good idea to take your time when you're measuring and cutting. Fences, if done correctly, as I mentioned, can add a lot of value to your property and attract prospective buyers or renters in the future. So it's a project that you want to do correctly the first time. And here's the first section that has been completed. It looks really, really nice and modern. One of the tricks that you can use is take a 1-inch block and put it in between the pieces of wood that you're nailing on in a horizontal way. This will make sure that everything comes out really even. Now it's really starting to come together. Last pieces are building gates for each of the walkways. And here's the final product. I'm really excited about how it came out. It looks really sleek across the front of the yard. We also made 2 separate gates, so both houses have different entrances. Here's some additional shots of the final project. I'm really excited with how it came out, and I think it creates a lot of depth because of how far back these houses are situated on this property. It's also an urban area, so it's nice to have that extra security feature that somebody just can't come right up to your door. There's actually a barrier, and that helps from a security purpose. I actually went back and added some brick pavers to help hold the gravel in, and I think that makes for a nice feature as well. I actually ended up painting the fence black because I think that lends itself to a more modern feel, and I also hope to paint both of the houses a lighter color, maybe a white as well, and that'll give it a nice black and white modern touch. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.